So masking fluid is what we're gonna do. Drawing gum, Frisket. If you buy this at the store, it comes in different manufacturers, and everyone calls it a little bit different, but it all does the same thing. It's just masks where you don't want your paint to go, right? So this stuff is what I use. What is it? Peblo? I don't even know what brand that is. Can't even say it. This must be French. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my masking pen and I zoom into the area that I want to mask. That's these rocks here. I'm gonna grab my masking pen, just dip it into the masking fluid. I'm not gonna need a lot of masking fluid, so I'm just gonna lightly dip it in. And we'll start with the big rock, and you just, so we want to keep this like a snow capped rock, right, on the stream. So just be gentle with your pen. You don't want to scratch your paper.
So there's an opening in that pen, and that fills with the fluid?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you don't use a brush?
Well, you don't want to use a brush because you wreck your brushes that way.
Oh, okay.
Your brushes get all gummed up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So I like this pen because it's metal and you can just clean it off with your water and your towel, and then you can just go back and adjust what's on your paper like that. Okay, so that's our first step. So I'm going to stretch my paper. Before you guys stretch your paper, your masking fluid should be completely dry, okay?
Does it still feel kind of weird?
It feels like rubber. It should feel like latex. If it's coming off and going onto your finger, then it's too wet. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do wet on wet. I'm gonna grab my big brush here. Wash brush? Yeah, washing brush. Okay. So oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're using 5 colors for the background. Okay. If you have a phone or a camera on you, it'd be good to record this as well, right? Because this section is a little bit complicated. Everyone has a spare sheet of paper, so I would maybe do a dry run with your spare sheet of paper. Okay. And this is like my 3rd or 4th painting of this background already, so it does take a lot of practice to get it right. So definitely practice really helps. Okay, so I'm gonna start. We always start with the brightest colors, right? So if you need yellow, you can start with yellow. And I'm gonna start in the middle, and I'm just gonna paint strokes down. Don't paint down under this. Do not put any paint underneath this layer. I'm gonna grab some green. So I'm using some meridian green and green gold. And I'm just gonna put some of this on top of that yellow, like that. Maybe some up here. And then I'm gonna use a royal blue Actually, you know what? I'm gonna use pink first because that's a lot lighter than royal blue. And the pink is just a highlight, so maybe three spots where that pink is gonna go. That's not bright enough. Maybe a little bit brighter pink. There we go. And then I'm gonna use some royal blue. So my royal blue is a Windsor blue. You might, ultramarine will work as well. I'm just gonna put some on top or above the green. Don't put it on right on top of the green, just put it above the green. And I'm gonna go with my Prussian blue. So a little bit darker blue. So maybe fill the top up with this blue, and maybe some down here. I'm gonna go with my Paynes gray, just for the really dark sky on top here. And I've got some purple on here as well, so I'm gonna mix some red and blue together to get my purple. Red and blue, there we go. And just some purples. Just like that, that's it, okay? And once your paint is down, we're going to lift your board up. And we want this vertical, right? We want our our color to go vertical, so this is gonna help it create a vertical shapes. Like that. And then I don't want this to go any further down, so I'm gonna flip it the other way. And all this is gonna start to lighten up, because all this water on here is gonna start pulling this down. And we'll just let that stand for the rest of the drawing process. And that will be your background, okay? So very light wash of blue is gonna be for these background trees. And my paper is nice and dry. Where's that sponge that I had?
Right here.
Oh, thank you. Great. So I'm going to, if you guys have a chance, just wash out your sponge so it doesn't have any other color on it. I've got my practice sheet of paper. I've got my paintbrushes. I've only got, where are my paintbrushes? Who's got one? Oh, I left them on your table. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab maybe a thin rigger, okay? We'll grab a rigger, we'll grab one of these ones, and we've got this sponge cut into a wedge shape. So instead of the scrubber side, I'm gonna use the sponge side. And we're gonna do some practice trees, right? So what you can do with practice trees is we do foliage on the bottom, which is nice and thick, and then as we go up, we taper, right? Or you can taper vertically like this.
Oh my god, that was hard.
And
Wow.
what? What do you mean it looks hard?
That is so cool.
So making triangle shapes or evergreen shapes, right? And just throw in some foliage. And then with your brush, we can do the tree trunks. Just going up, do some tree trunks up. like that. And then the tree tops are smiley faces like this. And then as we go down, it frowns.
What color are you using?
Just a light blue wash. Oh, the dirty water on my tray. Well, have you cleaned your tray? Well, just a light wash of Prussian blue is fine. So, smiley faces on top and frowns on the bottom, right?
Depends what kind of spruce it is.
It really depends, yeah. So I've got a jasper spruce there, and then I've got some big blue spruces on this side. And if you can use the side of your brush, like dry brushing, to create more foliage. But there's my little grove of evergreens. Okay, so that's how you practice before you do the good one. So I'm gonna do the good one. Right? Take a deep breath before you start the good one. And I'm gonna start with a bunch of vertical trees. Right? Just like that. And then I'm going to maybe feather these guys right to my horizon line, which is there. And these guys kind of look like really snow-covered trees already, right? You get those big clumpy trees you see in the mountains.
So the purpose of that feather line is to just let your other paint wash into it?
So you see what it does there? It gives us a horizon line. It also softens everything down. So it gives everything, it grounds your whole object, all these objects here, right? And then we've got some bigger foreground trees here, so I'm just gonna feather to those foreground trees. Everyone knows what feathering is, right? Just water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wetting so it feathers, so we don't get any hard edges. Okay? And, maybe some straight lines here. We've got a bigger tree in the middle, I think, is what I've got. Some smiley faces, and then as we go down, we'll do some frowns. Something like that. It doesn't have to be, don't make your trees perfect. It's wet, right? So the problem with new painters is they want everything to be perfect, and it ends up being just too perfect and doesn't look natural, right?
Did you use your sponge at all to go vertical?
No,
Horizontal?
No, I didn't do any vertical or
Horizontal?
horizontal strokes, but I can, see?
Is that what you did on your practice?
I did. I actually liked what I did on this good one, so I just kept it. Right?
Excellent.
Yeah. So it looks like we've got some jasper spruces. Those really skinny spruces.
Swamp spruce.
Why are they called swamp spruces? Using you are not using this edge of the sponge to paint. You're using this edge of the sponge. So I'm using about half the top of the sponge to paint, okay? So I'm gonna saturate my sponge with paint. I'm gonna start on the right side. We'll do some trees. What?
I think I got your ear in the video. Like I look up and then I look down and I'm not even recording the paper.
I'm gonna go a little bit on top of my background trees, right? Because I don't want a weird a strange edge. So I want them to overlap a bit and follow what I have on my drawing. So I'm just gonna follow those pencil lines. Right, so I've got my foliage, right? And that's what this sponge is really good for, is creating that foliage. And then I'm gonna go ahead and, if you guys aren't painting as fast as I am, you can just do one side at a time, right? And we want these tree trunks a little bit down into the foreground, so I'm gonna pull them down.
Where are you?
Closer to me, right? Maybe this tree's bigger, so it's gonna be further down onto the horizon. And maybe do some smiley faces on top and some frowns near the bottom. But you don't have to do that. You can just do blobs like that. So I've been practicing my trees for about 20 years. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. Not gonna lie. You see these spaces are too evenly spaced out. We don't want that, so I'm gonna add another tree there. Break up that even space, right? And see, it looks natural now, right? We don't want even spaces in nature. We want uneven. And then we'll pull this tree down a bit. We'll pull some frowns. There we go. And pull some tree trunks.
The sponge really helps to let that snow layer on the edges.
Yeah, the sponge is a really good tool to do basically any kind of foliage, right? And then one last step is to soften some of these branches out. So I'm gonna soften with some water, maybe soften some of the trunks there because they are a little bit harsh. Maybe soften into the background trees. Right? That looks all right. Don't mind that. So, yeah, foreground trees. You see how strong they are compared to the background trees?
On dry paper, right, Payne?
On dry paper.
On dry, okay.
All right.
All your paper should be dry enough. You don't even have to use the blow dryer.
Sure, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I have two of these here, yeah.
All right. Anyways, I'm gonna repeat the steps because if I put this online, yeah. Anyways, just starting over. Get a light wash of blue, and we'll put that on the banks of the creek. And once you lay down your paint, we want to soften the edges with some water so we don't get any hard edges. And that's where we are now. And with salt, I'm just gonna sprinkle some salt on the darker paint. And we'll let that dry.
And it's still a little tacky. So
Yeah, it's the paint is a little shiny. A little bit shiny.
So on this one oh no, that's ink on there, right? Yeah. Okay, never mind.
And that's it for this step. And our last step is going to be the creek. So same thing with the sky, right? We want a reflection of the sky is what we're going for. So I'm gonna lay down some greens. Got some pinks there. That is perfect. And then I've got some blues and grays. So same idea. We're gonna lay down our paint, our light paint first, which is a green. And it's quite intense, right? I've got some pink there, so I'm gonna get some pink. See how intense that is?
Yeah.
That's great. Looks good. I'm gonna get some royal blue or Windsor blue. Ultramarine is fine. So same idea. I'm going lightest to darkest. And then we have some dark sky on the top. So I'm gonna get some Prussian blue. Is that my Prussian blue? Yeah, Prussian blue. There we go. I've lost my drawing, that's fine. We'll fudge it. This goes up into the hills there. Something like that, right? Yeah. Okay, and then we'll grab some gray. And with this gray, it's gonna be a light, like not too strong, more of a wash. And we're going to, see how flat my brush is? Yeah, we're going to go right on top. And again, this gray is going to be a stronger pigment. And I'm going to start to darken the edge of the creek. See, I'm just dropping in this paint, and it's this wet paint and wet paper is going to just absorb it from my brush, right? So I'm more, you see I'm just touching it, and it's just pulling it from my brush, right? Okay. So I've lost some green and some pink there. That's fine. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of green. I did clean off my brush, so that I have a clean brush again. I'm gonna go and put some more green on top of that layered green, and the same with the pink, just a little bit of pink intensity there. Maybe pull it all the way to the top. Like that. Because reflections will elongate, right? And that's what we're trying to do. I'm going to line this paint up with the sky. Looks like that. Maybe I got some royal blue, so I'm gonna get some royal blue. I'm gonna match that up to my sky. That looks great. We'll let all that mingle together. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna get a flat brush like this. We'll flatten it out. We'll flatten this brush out like that. And then we will make some water. Still a little bit wet, I think. We'll wait for that to dry a bit. Give me 1 second. We won't wait, we'll just use water. A little bit drier. And same idea, we'll grab this paintbrush, we'll flatten it out. If that doesn't work, where's my rigger? We'll grab the rigger. So it's still a little bit too wet. It's not letting me do what I want. So I'm gonna use a rigger brush like that. Just a different way to make horizontal lines. I think that's working a little bit better. Can you see that on the camera? Yeah. That looks better, right? And then that's pretty much it. So to do that with this rigger brush, I'm washing it out. I am taking most of the water off with my cotton towel, and then I'm going in. If you go in with a wet brush, you're gonna get a big blossom. Okay? I got a rubber pickup here. My paper is completely dry. I hit it with the blow dryer. So you can use your rubber pickup, or you can use your finger if your paper is really dry. Okay? Comes right off. Whoops. But anyways, this is what that tool is. That is what it's meant for. So if you do like using this, if you like using masking fluid, maybe grab a rubber pickup as well, okay? So we're gonna give a little bit of dimension to these snowballs that we just created with the masking fluid. So I'm just gonna paint a little bit of a bottom to these snowballs. With no, just a wash of this gray and blue mix I have. There we go, that's better.
Is your salt off now?
I think so. Got no more salt. Okay.
Oh, that really adds dimension.
So gives our snowballs some dimension. I've got a little bit of mask stuck on there, so I just took it off. Okay, anyways, that's how you can give that those white masses some dimension, right? And then with our next step, we're gonna make some snowflakes. We've got this white calligraphy ink that I use. Same thing with masking fluid. If you don't use it, it'll dry up on you and then you have to throw it out. So
if we have the mask, could we have just done that?
masking,
Instead of masking, or sorry, that fluid stuff we put on. Can we put that on instead of the white?
yeah, you could have kind of splashed it on, but I find that it doesn't work quite as well. Yeah. But you can definitely give it a try. You know, you can experiment. Nothing wrong with that. You grab a brush here. So just grab a medium brush. Rinse it off. Got a lot of blue on there. So get rid of that. Clean that off. Because I don't want blue snowflakes, right? we don't want yellow snowflakes either. So make sure your paintbrush is not yellow. And then I've loaded up my brush with this white ink. I'm just gonna throw this onto my board or my painting. And if you want big snowflakes, really load it up and just drop it in like that.
Your thing should be flat at this point, or does it matter?
Doesn't
Is it
matter.
so thick?
Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's really thick, so it doesn't matter. Maybe these guys. Those snowflakes are huge. Yeah, well, maybe we'll do it flat. But anyways, so a couple of ways to flick paint. You can do it this way. You can use another brush and just tap it on, but these make really fine. You see, really fine snowflakes. You see how fine that is? So if you want bigger snowflakes, you load it up with, and then flick it on.
So is it like a faux
And-
pas to use acrylic white paint to do?
This is white ink. This is not acrylic.
But if you had it.
Is it a faux pas? According to who? Who says this?
So you could use acrylic paint.
Who says this? So if you have any mistakes, I was like, oh, I don't like that, and just cover it up with some snowflakes,
Big one.
right? If I think I'm overdoing it, but that's just a suggestion for you guys, right? If you don't like a spot in your painting, just grab some snowflakes, cover it up. Okay, and I think that's it. We're done. There we go. Yeah. So one more thing, just breaking up the snowbank. So we're just gonna paint some of these.
And you're using this, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we can bring back our paintings next week and just do this?
Yep.
Okay, that'd be.
We're all here next week, right? So, and then, my drawing doesn't really match up with what I've painted down, so I'm just gonna use what I've painted rather than what I've drawn, and that's how I do it. So I've got this one needs a line, this one needs a line. Like that. And you can feather some of this stuff out as well. So ink is a lot closer to watercolor than acrylic is. Acrylic's got a bit of a shine to it. It doesn't look like watercolor. Whereas you can see I've used ink on this one, and it looks pretty natural, right?
This is gorgeous on
It's
that.
got a matte, more of a matte finish than a shine to it. So that's why I like using white ink. Gouache is also, it's pretty good. Like I do use gouache to clean up some of my watercolors.
What does it mean?
Gouache is just an opaque watercolor. So
covers
it's not translucent, right? Whereas watercolor is regularly translucent. Gouache is an opaque watercolor. So yeah, it works
Did you
well
make
for.
it a snow